Okay, in this video I've got some preforms I've been working on, and I'm going to be weighing these and measuring them. I got a whole bunch of different types here, types of materials. Now these are all close to the final size. They're all about 1 inch wide at the bottom and about 2 inches long. I've got got another tape measure that has centimeters. Let me get that one. Okay, so inch by 2 inches is the typical that I normally do as preforms for hunting points. Now most of this stuff is Texas stuff, but I think this is Sonora chert. This is some kind of jasper, I think from the west coast. This is Tecovas jasper from Texas Panhandle. This is heat-treated alabates, Texas Panhandle. This is Burlington, heat-treated Burlington, Illinois. I think that's where this comes from. This is Texas chert from near the San Angelo area. I think this is Central Texas chert. And the rest of these I'm not sure. They're all just Texas varieties. And most of this material is heat treated. I think the only ones are not are the Sonora. And maybe this here, this is a raw piece of chert from somewhere out west here. Okay, so what I normally start out with on hunting point preforms, just to give you an idea, is about this size. If I have the material available, I like to go with this size here, and it's about 158 grains. Now, of course, I can make a hunting point this heavy, but I usually don't. Most of the hunting points, let me just weigh one of these. Between 60 and 80 grains is typical. I want to get one that has substantial thickness. This one is kind of thin, so it's not going to be representative of most of my pieces, so let's try this one. .84. Okay, so 84 grains, so I lose about, you know, close to half the weight off from this size. Inch and a quarter by about 2 1/4. That's what I usually start out with if I have the material. If I don't, I can squeeze one out of this size here, but I'm cutting it really close. The base is the same width, so the only thing I have to work with is the length. Now this one here is 130 grains. A lot of guys like them actually about this weight, 125 grains, so 2 1/4 long, inch wide, and the thickness, let's see, about 3/16. Okay, so you know, you really don't need to notch these to mount them. You can mount them with epoxy onto the arrows. But this is a preform. This is one of my preforms that I use when I'm looking at the rocks I have in the piles of chert that I have. I look for rocks that I can make preforms out of, and I like to keep this handy along with a smaller version, shorter version. And I keep these 3 different sizes handy when I'm doing the preform stage. Now I've got some other chunkier ones that I also like to keep handy, just in case I need some thickness on these. This is 196 grains. It's about a 1/4 inch in thickness. Maybe a little bit less. Okay, so this is, like I said, almost 200 grains. 1.25 inches. And it's approaching 2 3/8, 2.5 maybe, and a 1/4 inch thick in the middle. So that's what that gives you. And I've got smaller versions here, slightly smaller. This is 190, 188, and they're all about the same thickness, about a 1/4 inch thick. Now this is from the last video called Ultimate Turtleback. This is what I ended up with. I just kind of trimmed the edges with a pressure flaker, and I'm going to use it as a preform for hunting arrows, hunting arrowheads. 188 grains, 1/4 inch thick, about 1 7/8 long. Again, about 1.25 inches wide. Okay, so I like to keep these handy, these 3 and these 3, and I don't reduce these down to final points. I just keep them handy so I can look at my rocks and see what I can get out of them. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and weigh a bunch of these just so I can see and show you, give you a general idea of the different weights here. They're all about the same size, 1 inch by 2 inches. That's 84. I think I measured that already. And the general thickness is going to be 3/16. Yeah, maybe a little bit under 3/16. Okay, so that was 84. 88. 78. 82. 90. 84. 94. I think this one's kind of thick. Well, see if there's a substantial difference. There's a little bit of difference in length here, and probably a little bit of difference in thickness. '86, 84, 86, 84. This one's kind of thin. Let's see what this one says. 82, about the same. 84, 82. Now I didn't weigh these ahead of time. 82. I just like to reduce these down. I'm copying this one. I like to reduce them down while copying another one. So as long as you get the dimensions about the same, the weights are going to be about the same. And if you have a slightly heavier one, like this one was slightly heavier, I guess it could be the stone, or it could be just there's a fat part in there making it heavy. You just take more off and you can match them. So you just pick the lightest one and you nibble down the other ones until they're matching in weight. So it doesn't really matter what kind of stone you've got, they're pretty much going to be the same. as long as you follow the dimensions. I've got a bunch of other preforms that I like using. I'll just give you some dimensions. About 3.5, yeah, 1 3/4, by about 1/2 inch, a little bit less than 1/2 inch. I use that size. And most of my rocks fall in these ranges, the ones I have. I don't really have big stuff. Most of my rocks will produce a preform, let's see, about this size here. And this one's is 332 grains, 334. Let's see, and one of the hunting points can be gotten out of this. I don't have as many of these that are longer. And this one's 274. Let me just slap the tape measure on this one. This one is 5/16. This one's a little under 3. And the thickness, about 1/4 inch. Then I have these wider ones. This one's 770. So this is basically I'm going to show you one at a time what my rock stash yields. It yields this size here. It's all they're all under 4 inches for sure. I work mainly cobbles and odd-shaped stones. Okay, so this will just give you an idea. Now the preforms that you find in Native American campsites don't look quite like this. I like to have mine pretty regular, pretty flat, edges pre-ground for the most part, before I start making an arrowhead out of these. And try to reduce the number of steps down to a minimum. And I like, a substantial amount of material in the middle. At some points, when you replicate them, you need to make sure you have a lot of mass in the center. Of course, there's a lot that don't have a lot of mass in the center, but to play it safe, you use a lot of mass to begin with. Okay, so hopefully that gives you an idea of the weights and the sizes of typical preforms from cobbles. Okay, that's it.